want to begin today's message on a little playful journey. I'm going to take you shopping in North Park Center. And we're walking through the mall, and you're seeing something that you especially like. Now, for some of you, it might be a watch that costs more than my car. For somebody else, it might be just a new outfit, or like a really exotic outfit you could never afford, but it'd be so, you know about it, you want it. For very few of you who really have high taste, it might be a new Tesla that's there in the mall at a little store. Yeah, a little Tesla, yeah. It could be, for some of us, something as simple as a really delicious-looking baked good through the glass at Corner Bakery. A new Disney Lego or Marvel Lego set. It could be anything. And we're walking through, we see this, and you really, really know it, you want it, and I go, what's keeping you from taking it? And Andrew Murray, opening the 9th chapter, says, nothing but a big, thick pane of plate glass window. Boom. And that's keeping, it's a very simple illustration, but it's keeping you from grasping that which you see, you know all about, you want, you just can't get. Don't take it too far. I realize for some of those, the Tesla, it's about money as well. But the illustration is you can't physically get to it because the glass window is there. And then he makes the point, there are many things in the Christian faith growing and maturing that we see, we know about, we especially see in others and know about from others, and we want it, we just can't reach it. What is that plate glass window, that thick pane of plate glass window that gets in the way from greater faith? He says nothing but pride. Nothing but pure old pride. At least we know what it is. At least he's identified the glass window. Growing up, my parents enclosed our little patio. You know, it's one of those typical U-shaped homes with a little patio in the middle. And you had a bedroom door and a bedroom door going to the patio. And then you had, of course, in the den, the sliding glass door. And I don't know how many times somebody would be outside and boom. And one time my dog Biscuit, you know, we had different dogs growing up at this time. Biscuit, my dad let him in the back door. He saw me, and I guess the light was just wrong. He didn't know the glass door was closed. Have you ever seen a dog run and stop like that, and the nose goes crooked, rink? And he yelped. I went, oh no! And 10 seconds later, he's there. He's fine. The problem with our glass window, sliding glass door, was we didn't know it was there. What Andrew Murray has done for us is label pride as the glass that's preventing us, in the illustration, from grasping greater faith. This is a message about great faith, wanting it and being able to get it. And we're going to get to Palm Sunday and see how it illustrates it. You only have one heart. Think physically. Nicole's will be adjusted and pampered and monitored during surgery. But we oftentimes in Christian faith use heart for more spiritual reasons. It's not the physical muscle pumping machine. It is the heart and soul of someone. We have one soul. We are one being. We have one mind. We have, theologically speaking, one throne over our heart. That is one person in charge, one authority. And it's either us, pride, or it's the Lord, humility. Andrew Murray says it's really that simple. And pride and faith are irreconcilably at variance. That's an old phrase, but it's quotable. You can write that one down. Pride and faith are irreconcilably at variance. It's that glass, right? It's going to stop us from going further to grasp the great faith we see, we know, we want, we just can't get. He explains as much as humility indirectly develops faith. And here's how it does. Because humility prepares the soul for living on trust. I'd mentioned this in roundabout ways in messages before, leading up to this in this series. Humility is, I cannot, I need you to for me. I think I'm doing well, I need direction. I am under your authority. I'm under you. I need help. Please forgive me. I cannot forgive myself. I need your forgiveness. Humility. It's very simple. I love this quote. Humility prepares the soul for living on trust. He explains even a little further that humility makes the soul feel like not trusting more fully is dishonoring to the Lord. You really worship, really believe, you really agree, and therefore anything less than humility is inadequate. It's inappropriate. You are God, I am your servant. Think Mary at Christmas. But we're talking about Jesus. It's Palm Sunday. He had the great triumphal entry, and then he did some teaching in the temple. Here are a few things earlier. I'm going to have selections from the Gospel of Matthew. As Matthew describes several things, Jesus said, oh, there's great faith. Oh, there's great faith. What is great faith according to these few passages that we see from Jesus? The first passage, for those of you who are Bible turners, is about a Roman centurion in Matthew 8. Matthew chapter 8. So this centurion, who's a Roman officer, of course, Romans are not Jews, oftentimes considered opposites, maybe enemies. They don't believe anything like one God, much less the Jewish God, which Jesus is son of, but they were figuring that out, right? So the Romans weren't a people of faith by Judeo-Christian standards. So this Roman centurion hears of Jesus, knows of Jesus to some extent, and he has a servant. Now, this is the first shocking thing. A servant he cares about. I know it's easy today to overlay modern sensibilities on ancient times and say, why didn't he have servants? That's just wrong. And yet, in that culture, a number of upstanding people had servants that were like family. This is a reflection here. In this situation, the Roman centurion, think burly, tough Marine. He's in charge of 100 others. He's a centurion. He is concerned for one of his personal servants. That is in his home, his family. And he comes to Jesus asking for help, and Jesus sort of puts him off. And then Matthew 8, verse 8, here is his response to Jesus. But, there's a little contrast here, but the officer said to Jesus, is kind of pushing back, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come to my home. Just say the word from where you are, and my servant will be healed. I know this because I am a man under authority. I have superior officers, and I have authority over my soldiers. You only need say, I only need say, go, and they will go, or come here, and they will come here. And if I say to my servant, do this, well, they do it. So turning to those who were following him, Jesus replied, talking about this man to others who were following, Jesus replied, I tell you the truth, I have not seen such faith in all of Israel like this. So he turns and tells the centurion, go back home because you believed it has happened. And the young servant was healed that same hour. The great faith was just speak the word. I know authority, and you have authority. You don't have to come to my house. Just say the word. He was that trusting and believing in Jesus' ability, his word. A little bit later in the 15th chapter of Matthew, Jesus and his disciples are together, and a Canaanite woman comes to him. Now that is pretty much a strike three right there. First of all, in that culture, it's a woman coming to them in a boys' circle. That's really inappropriate. Secondly, even though Rabbi and the disciples were together, and this woman shows she's a Canaanite woman, that was like a variation, a perversion of the Jews' mind of their historic faith. And thirdly, she's a foreigner, not to mention a Canaanite. So she shows up and says, Master, my daughter needs healing. Would you please heal her? You can do it. And he said something very odd and offensive to us. He said, why would I take the children's bread and give it to the dogs? Well, how rude is that? It is rude, but in that day and time, it was a common nickname for the other side. Children of Israel, that's very common to us, but in that culture you have the children of Israel and you have the dogs, or the ones who were Israel's in the past, were Jewish, but then varied and changed and now they've really gone to false gods and foreign gods. So this Canaanite woman, who again is not an exemplary model. It's not like Billy Graham walking into the room, or in this case, Mother Teresa walking into the room. Think of someone of the opposite who exemplifies not having faith, exemplifies immoral life. She comes to Jesus, says, heal my daughter. He says no, and she pushes back with this. Matthew 15, 26, 7, and 8. Jesus said, I'll repeat, it isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. But she replied, that's true, Lord, but even dogs are allowed to eat the scraps that fall beneath the master's table. Dear woman, Jesus said to her, your faith is great. Your request is granted. And her daughter was instantly healed. In both of those examples, in Matthew 8, Matthew 15, the centurion and the Canaanite woman, they were not examples of persons you want to model yourself after in the Judeo-Christian world. There were no Christians yet. These were Jews, remember, who were following Jesus, and he's trying to fulfill what Isaiah was prophesying about Messiah himself. So these poor examples become really good examples. Jesus was masterful about this. In some of his parables, same thing. He would take some no account and make them the hero or heroine of the story and illustration. And don't you know, the Jewish hearers were like burning up. Besides these two being surprising examples of faith, they both showed great faith, and the way they showed great faith, both of them individually, was completely trusting Jesus. The centurion said, you know authority, you just say it, it's done. I trust you. I believe you can do it. And she says, of course it's not fair, but still, dogs got the scraps. Lord, will you please? I know you can. They both completely trusted, not for what they're going to get, but trusted him. And as a result, he gave them what they were asking for. So now we get to Palm Sunday. A few more chapters, chapter 21, Jesus comes riding in, and here is the quintessential Palm Sunday text, Matthew 21, 8 through 11. They're entering toward Jerusalem. They're not in the city of Jerusalem, the walled city, but they're coming down the hill next to it. Well, most of the crowd spread their garments on the road ahead of him. This is Matthew 21, 8 through 11. Others cut branches from the palm trees and spread them on the road. Jesus was in the center of the procession, and the people all around him were shouting, Hosanna! Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest! Well, the entire city was in an uproar as he entered, I would add, the gates of Jerusalem. Who is this? they were asking. And the crowds were replying, "It's Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." Now, as wonderful and exciting as that is, I want to take a turn for us today. The very last words is, "Who is this?" They did not say, "It's Jesus, God's Son. It is Jesus, the Messiah. It is Jesus, the Holy One, the Promised One." They said, "It's this great prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." They were missing the boat. The crowds didn't really know who he was yet. And this is going to come back into my message on humility, because Jesus was here riding into Jerusalem on the donkey, receiving praise that he knew was shallow, momentary, and empty. He goes to the temple, he does some teaching, and in the temple, Matthew records him weeping over Jerusalem. "Oh, I have longed to gather you like a mother hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not let me." They were just praising him. And he's weeping over them. Then, of course, in the garden, he is praying that the Lord not make him go through with this. In the garden, he is under such duress. He is, as Luke says, sweating great drops as of blood. Such pressure. He does not want to do what he is drawn to do, what he is compelled to do, what he is trusting his Father to do, because full trust fleshes out in full obedience. Jesus' example of humility is he received the praise knowing it wasn't going to go very far. He's doing what he doesn't want to do because his Father says to do it. And he knows that. He says, all right. Because in Jesus' heart, a simple illustration, he's not in charge of the throne. The Father is. For us Christians, we're called to abdicate the throne and let Jesus be in charge, so that every moment, every action, every word, every behavior, we say, "Lord, is this what you want? Lord, is this how you want me to do it?" Because he's in charge. Humility is about trusting. Jesus trusted God his Father completely. The centurion, the Canaanite woman, trusted Jesus completely. We're called to trust Jesus completely. And the follow-out, as Jesus showed, is to follow his wishes. Jesus, what would you have me do? What is great faith? That's what great faith is. Full trust with full obedience. And remember, as we're waving palm branches and worshiping today, the prophet said in the Old Testament, true worship, the best worship, is obedience. Following through with one's life. It is pride that keeps us from reaching full trust and full obedience. I pray through working on humility, pray through teaching and seeing Jesus and humility in the scriptures, that plate glass window gets thinner and thinner and eventually is not there, so you can grab the aspect of great faith you know about and you want. Just get yourself out of the way.